John Sexton was the earliest benefactor of the Rovers. He also had great success in the landfill and construction areas. Let's learn more about John Sexton's achievements.
John J. Sexton was known as a shrewd businessman with an eye for detail. Deeply loyal and protective of his employees, he developed the nation's most modern and efficient sanitary landfills, and could be found feeding the homeless on West Madison Street or chairing one of his many philanthropic endeavors. John J. Sexton was an Irish-American whose deep-rooted principles exemplified his Irish work ethic. The Sextons' family's Irish roots trace back to Ireland's County Limerick, but John's parents, Anne Hickey and Patrick Sexton, immigrated to America in the early 1900s and settled in Chicago in 1912. The close-knit and devoutly religious Sexton family lived on Taylor Street in a humble Irish neighborhood on the near West Side. His father owned a tavern, but died quite young, leaving Anne to raise her 12 children, of which John was the youngest. The Sexton brothers assumed the responsibility of saving their baby brother, Johnny, from the high-risk life they had been exposed to. They pooled their resources and sent John to St. Ignatius High School and to St. Mary's in Kansas. Upon graduation, John attended college in Texas for a year, before the Great Depression hastened his early exit. He returned to Chicago hoping to find a job. However, there were 13 million other Americans also looking for work. But John Sexton was nothing if not enterprising. He would create his own opportunities, and he had to look no further than his own backyard. His mother owned 2 old buildings next to the family's house, but they were in severe disrepair. After tearing down the worst of the 2 buildings, John saw a fledgling business opportunity in the hole in the ground where the building once stood. He knew local refuse haulers were always looking for places to dump their materials, and he offered his dumping site. He made $30 profit for filling that hole, and every evening he would carefully level off the site with a layer of cinders so that it looked as smooth as a billiard table. It reflected his commitment to excellence and concern for the neighborhood that would guide the Sexton Company for the next 34 years. He called it his first sanitary landfill. In 1936, John married Eileen Catherine Grannon, and in 1940 they welcomed the first of their 2 daughters. But later that year, the United States entered World War II. Blind in one eye from an automobile accident, John was unable to join the military, but he joined the Coast Guard Reserves. He joked that he fought the Battle of the Chicago River. In honor of his heritage, John would become a sponsor for many Irish emigrating to America, including Tommy Ryan of Limerick, the founder of the world-famous Shannon Rovers Irish Pipe Band. In November of 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and John felt the need to help provide a proper Irish funeral. He paid to fly Tommy and 4 pipers to play at the president's funeral. John bought uniforms of Kennedy plaid for the entire Shannon Rovers Pipe Band and continued as a major benefactor. A devout Roman Catholic, John's compassion and generosity knew few bounds. While his charitable works were often done far from the spotlight, John's larger, more public activities extended a helping hand to schools, hospitals, colleges, orphanages, students and colleagues throughout his life. And his spirit of generosity led this Irish-American boy to become a business and philanthropic success story. Sexton's granddaughter, Tamara Burke, said of the family's charitable foundation, "We strive to live up to John Sexton's principles. we do what our Irish ancestors would want us to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to welcome John J. Sexton into the Irish American Hall of Fame for his achievements in the field of business and industry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kathy Daniels, John Sexton's daughter.
This is such an amazing and emotional night for me and my family. It's just an honor to celebrate my father's induction into the Irish American 2023 Hall of Fame, and I know he would be very humbled. First, I would like to thank Bill McTighe for his unrelenting perseverance and work to bring my father to the attention of the Irish American Hall of Fame. We would also like to thank Joan O'Hara for her help and guidance in preparation for tonight. I also want to thank my daughter, sincerely, Tammy Burke. She has been working on this project for over 2 years, and she's a great speechwriter. And of course, my husband, Art. So, my father died nearly 57 years ago. He never met our 5 amazing children, Tammy, Shannon, Aaron, Drew, and Todd, and our 3 wonderful sons-in-law, Rob, Sean, and Tom, and our wonderful, darling, dear daughter-in-laws, Bryn and Heidi. And he also never met any of our 17 children that are so beloved, our grandchildren. However, they have all heard many, many stories over the years about him. I do remember how he was always busy on the phone, writing long notes, talking business, loving me, my mother Eileen, and my sister Carol. He always was proud of his Irish heritage, especially on the greatest day of the year, St. Patrick's Day, yes. He grew up the youngest of 12, and as the last one, you can imagine that he was raised not only by his parents, but his brothers and sisters as well. Johnny was beloved by all and quickly learned the importance of Irish family values. I know that he made a big difference in many lives because he was always a giving person. In fact, he sought out people he could help. He watched, he noticed, he listened to people's needs and dreams. And one of his most favorite things to do was to travel, where he often found more schools and houses of worship and people who were in need, from Japan, Israel, Alaska, California, closer to home. He always found ways to support schools and hospitals, students, and other charities. One spectacular example evolved when John and Tommy Ryan met. There was an immediate kinship. John became a sponsor of the Rovers in '63, and then in '63 when President Kennedy died and was laying in state in Washington. My father accompanied a small group of Shannon Rovers to the funeral. He flew the members out, and upon their return, purchased uniforms in the famous, and this is hard to say, Kennedy plaid for the entire band, sealing his love of the Shannon Rovers forever, and also causing years later our daughter Shannon to become equally proud of the Shannon Rovers. There were also many quiet behind-the-scenes acts of generosity that didn't leave their mark in the newspapers, but in the hearts of his grateful recipients. He was truly ahead of his time in the way that his giving knew no boundaries. My father's goodwill lives on today through his grandchildren and their foundation. As a tribute to their grandfather and his strong Irish tradition of charity and sharing, they continue to honor and to be proud of their Irish heritage. We are so thankful and grateful to the Irish American Hall of Fame for recognizing his accomplishments. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. We're so glad.
I thought I had to say legacy.
Kathy said legacy. I get $4 for that. Thanks, Kathy.